Chapter 56. Retrospection, Apostolic Mission of the Mormon Women, How They Have Used the Suffrage, Their Petition to Mrs. Grant, 27,000 Mormon Women Memorialize Congress. Ere this record be closed, let us review the later acts of these extraordinary women, who have fairly earned the position of apostles to the whole United States. They have pioneered the nation westward, where Providence was directing its course of empire, and now they are turning back upon the elder states of the Union as pioneers of a new civilization. The manifest prophecy of events is, that Utah, in the near future, is going down from the mountains of refuge to the very seat of government, with woman's mission to all America. Very consistently, yet very significantly also, are the women of Utah rising to power and importance in the nation, through woman's suffrage and the exercise of the constitutional right of petition. Since the grant of woman's suffrage, they have exercised the ballot repeatedly in their municipal and territorial elections. Moreover, within that time, they have voted upon the Constitution for the state of Deseret, which will doubtless be substantially the one under which the territory will be admitted into the Union. Female suffrage was one of the planks of that Constitution. It will become a part of the organic act of the future state. No Congress will dare to expunge it, for such an attempt would bring 1 million of the women of America into an organized movement against the Congress that should dare to array itself against this grand charter of woman's freedom. Though Wyoming was the first to pass a woman's suffrage bill, which met a veto from its governor, and has experienced a somewhat unhappy history since, the honor of having voted for the greatest measures known in social and political economy rests with the women of Utah. They have taken action upon the very foundation of society building. Already, therefore, the women of Utah lead the age in this supreme woman's issue, and, if they carry their state into the Union first on the woman's suffrage plank, they will practically make woman's suffrage a dispensation in our national economy for all the states of the federal Union. And it will be consistent to look for a female member of Congress from Utah. Let woman be once recognized as a power in the state, as well as in society and the church, and her political rights can be extended according to the public mind. The Mormon women have also fallen back upon the original right of citizens to petition Congress. Their first example of the kind was when they held their grand mass meetings throughout the territory and memorialized Congress against the Cullum Bill. The second was the very remarkable petition to Mrs. Grant. It is here reproduced as a historical unique. Mrs. President Grant, honored lady, deeming it proper for woman to appeal to woman, we Latter-day Saints, ladies of Utah, take the liberty of preferring our humble and earnest petition for your kindly and generous aid, not merely that you are the wife of the chief magistrate of this great nation, but we are also induced to appeal to you because of your high personal reputation for nobility and excellence of character. Believing that you, as all true women should do, for in our estimation every wife should fill the position of counselor to her husband, possess the confidence of and have much influence with His Excellency, President Grant, we earnestly solicit the exercise of that influence with him in behalf of our husbands, fathers, sons, and brothers, who are now being exposed to the murderous policy of a clique of federal officers, intent on the destruction of our honest, happy, industrious, and prosperous people. We have broken no constitutional law, violated no obligation, either national or sectional. We revere the sacred constitution of our country, and have ever been an order-loving, law-abiding people. We believe the institution of marriage to have been ordained of God, and therefore subject to His all-wise direction. It is a divine right, and not a civil contract, and hence no man, unauthorized of God, can legally administer in this holy ordinance. We also believe in the Holy Bible, and that God did anciently institute the order of plurality of wives, and sanctioned and honored it in the advent of the Savior of the world, whose birth, on the mother's side, was in that polygamous lineage, as He testified to His servant John, on the Isle of Patmos, saying, I am the root and the offspring of David, and we not only believe, but most assuredly know, that the Almighty has restored the fullness of the everlasting gospel, through the prophet Joseph Smith, and with it the plurality of wives. This we accept as a purely divine institution. With us it is a matter of conscience, knowing that God commanded its practice. Our territorial laws make adultery and licentiousness penal offenses, the breach of which subjects offenders to fine and imprisonment. These laws are being basely subverted by our federal officers, who after unscrupulously wresting the territorial offices from their legitimate incumbents, in order to carry out suicidal schemes, are substituting licentiousness for the sacred order of marriage, and seeking by these measures to incarcerate the most moral and upright men of this territory, and thus destroy the peace and prosperity of this entire community. They evidently design to sever the conjugal, parental and paternal ties, which are dearer to us than our lives. We appreciate our husbands as highly as it is possible for you, honored madam, to appreciate yours. They have no interests but such as we share in common with them. If they are persecuted, we are persecuted also. If they are imprisoned, we and our children are left unprotected. As a community we love peace and promote it. Our leaders are peacemakers, and invariably stimulate the people to pacific measures, even when subjected to the grossest injustice. President Brigham Young and several of his associates, all noble and philanthropic gentlemen, are already under indictment to be arraigned, before a packed jury, mostly non-residents, for the crime of licentiousness, than which a more outrageous absurdity could not exist. Under these cruel and forbidding circumstances, dear madam, our most fervent petition to you is, that through the sympathy of your womanly heart you will persuade the President to remove these malicious disturbers of the peace, or at least that he will stop the disgraceful court proceedings, and send from Washington a committee of candid, intelligent, reliable men, who shall investigate matters which involve the rights of property, perhaps life, and more than all, the constitutional liberties of more than 100,000 citizens. By doing this you will be the honored instrument, in the hands of God, of preventing a foul disgrace to the present administration, and an eternal blot on our national escutcheon. And your petitioners will ever pray, etc. It is believed that this petition had due weight in accomplishing the dismissal of Judge McKean, which afterward occurred. The third example was still greater. It was a memorial to Congress, by the women of Utah, upon their marriage question, the grant of a homestead right to woman, and for the admission of Utah as a state. It was signed by 26,626 women of Utah, and was duly presented to both houses of Congress. And these are the acts and examples of enfranchised Mormon women, not the acts and promptings of President Young and the apostles, but of the leaders of the sisterhood. It may be stated, however, that President Young and the apostles approved and blessed their doings, but this confesses much to their honor. How suggestive the question, what if the leading men of every state in the Union should do as much for woman in her mission, instead of setting up barriers in her way? Were such the case, in less than a decade we should see female suffrage established in every state of the Federation.